Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to give you 7 tips on how to use your 360 camera when out snowboarding. We'll be using the GoPro Max in my video, but I think what we have to say should really, relate to pretty much any 360 camera you could be using out in the snow. So let's get right to it. So my first tip today is that actually it seems pretty obvious if you've ever really used a 360 camera in the past, but being up on the hill this last weekend, I noticed quite a few people really doing this, and that is just keeping your camera straight up and down on your stick. So what I saw a lot of people doing was actually having their camera bent like this. It's maybe so they can see themselves on the LCD screen while they're riding in that. But if you see here, this is a video I took a few years ago actually, using this on a normal GoPro. With the selfie stick, and you can really see the stick in every one of the shots. It really becomes apparent and really quite annoying after a while, I found. But the great thing with the 360 camera is if you do get it on the stick and you have it straight up and down, when you're pointing it out, that stick in the editing and the stitching that the camera does itself, it actually disappears to a really, really large degree. Kind of, depends on what camera you're using and the stick you're using of how much it'll disappear. But really, for what we're doing with the GoPro Max and the stick I used this weekend, it was pretty much disappeared altogether. But just keeping it straight up and down with the 360 is what you want to do at all times, no matter what you're filming, because you are getting everything all at once. And as soon as you put this little bit of a tilt on it, this stick now will be in the shot every time. And it's really kind of a waste of using the 360 in this form. So, I really just suggest as soon as you get it on your stick, whatever you're using, have it straight up and down as clean as you can to really get this stick out of the shot and make that kind of like who's taking this video kind of shot that you really see with these 360 cameras. Okay, now tip number 2. I did just mention the stick in the last tip and then having it straight up and down, which is very important. But not only the using a stick, but actually the length of the stick becomes really important when you're out on the hill. This shot you see here, I'm holding the camera very close to my hand. And because of that, you really get a big blob of hand in the shot, and the camera becomes very close to your body. So when you do want to have a wider shot of your whole body in the image, it kind of distorts the image itself, and it makes it a little bit too fisheye for what I prefer. So you really do need to get a bit of distance from your hand and the camera. Now GoPro has a really good little compact stick like this. It just pops out like that. And I did try this on a couple runs. You can see this run right here. And it's not bad. It gets quite far out there when I stretch out my arm. It's compact, it's easy to use, and it's pretty much the minimum distance you'd want to get when riding on a snowboard. But, it gets really nice and small and it's easy to carry around. So I think it's good, but I would like to get just a little bit further than this particular stick itself. And for that, there's actually, online, you can find this 27 Pro stick. Now this is carbon graphite, so it's quite light. So I'll pull it out of the bag here. It's very light, very nice design to it. I really liked using it. And it extends quite a bit here. This is just half of it. So it's very long, very stable. And the good thing about it is it's very rigid. So when you are shooting with this, it gets out a really nice far distance from your body. You can see these shots here right now is what I was using when I was using this pole when I was taking those shots. Nice distance from the body, and that allows you so you don't have to super curve and super fisheye your shots when you're editing the shots afterwards. If you want a full body shot of your riding, and really when you're snowboarding, you don't really just want your own face shot the whole time. That's kind of boring. You want to see the snow coming up. You want to show the terrain you're in, if you're in the trees, if you're in some nice powder and that kind of stuff. So getting the camera away from your body just that little bit more. Now I think I had it about this far out most of the time I was riding. Makes it nice and stable and easy to use. You really get the nicer kind of more traditional shot that you'd think you'd want to have from your 360 camera. Now I should say, you are flying down the hill with a long hard stick in your hand. On a crowded hill, it can be quite dangerous if you're not careful with what you're doing. Please don't, be careful you don't hit people with your camera, with your stick in that. This particular the stick actually has some holes in the bottom here. I think I can put a rope around it and around my wrist, because a few times that you do fall, and trust me, you will fall, you might want to have a little bit of like a, the Wii controller thing around your wrist so you don't have the stick and the camera go flying off of your hand and sliding down the hill without you holding onto it. But yeah, just make sure you get that camera out there as far as you can. If it's close to you, everything's going to be kind of wide and over-exaggerated, even more so than you really want it to be, I think. So these are some good options. But what you really want to look out for with the longer sticks is the rigidity of the stick. If it bends, like say like a fishing rod might bend, that is going to be in the shot as well, like I just said with the camera like this. Anything that's coming out from below the camera is going to be in your shot. So yeah, make sure you get a nice rigid, light one, easy to use, and you should be good to go. Tip number 3. So now you have a nice long pole, your camera's on straight, and you're flying down the mountain. First thing you're probably going to do, which I did a lot actually, was have the camera out. Say I'm left foot forward, so I'd have the camera in my left hand. One thing I found better for the shots is when I had the camera in my left hand, my forward hand, as opposed to my behind hand. Just made me seem more natural in the video, in the shots that I got afterwards. So I suggest, as a bonus tip, keep it in your front hand. That's the best way to do it. But these front shots are awesome. They look really good in social media and stuff like that. But if you're doing maybe a bit of a longer edit, I suggest you move around the stick a little bit, not just out front, but even up on top. You can hold it like this when you're riding, and you get a really cool kind of third-person video game, almost like a drone's following you kind of a shot from above. You can edit that in a lot of different ways with the 360. Looks really cool. Or even while you're riding, take the stick and put the camera behind you. So now you have a chasing shot really close to you. It looks like maybe someone's following you with the camera. Having this at a different heights as well makes it kind of an interesting clip. I found the ones that I really liked are when I had the camera really low to the ground and the powder I was spraying up for my runs was actually overflowing the camera and hitting it. It made it look really cool. It's not something I've really seen in too many videos and that. So, like anything, like photography, like any kind of videoing, you want a bunch of different angles. You want a bunch of different styles of shots. So trying, in front of you, above you, behind you. You can even put it out to the side. So you get like a ride along side shot like you can see here. It's interesting. This one can be a little bit more dangerous though. If there's people around, you might knock somebody over with the camera that you don't notice that's as close as you might think they are. So I kind of tend to stay in this way, but however you can do it. If it's safe, go for it. Give it a try. So tip 4. Now, one thing you'll notice with these cameras, obviously they have 2 lenses, one on each side. And on a nice bluebird day where it's a really nice pack and you're just riding fast and that, this isn't really an issue, but on days where there's powder, maybe wet snow, we had a lot of powder when I was riding up this, so this became a bit of a problem. You'll get snow and ice and water on the lenses. It's gonna happen, you're riding, you get big hits like this of powder just coming all over you. You're gonna get the lenses covered in snow. So you really need to be careful about this and be aware of when it's happening and clean these lenses off as much as you can. I had a couple shots that I really liked, but there was a nice big piece of snow on here, or maybe some ice somewhere, and it kind of wrecked the shot for me. If it's just like a 2-second clip that you're gonna throw in there, I don't think it's gonna be a big difference, but if you have a longer cut, the person watching the video at the end, they'll be getting kind of annoyed, I think with the stuff on the lens. So every chance you get that it's not, destroying your running because you really just wanna go out and have fun snowboarding, check your lens, clean it off with your gloves, maybe keep a towel or like a little cloth or something like that in your pocket, and clean this off as much as you can. Trust me, in the end, when you get back home and you see your footage, you'll be like, oh man, I remember that second run, I hit that bank and all of this powder everywhere, it looked really cool, and then I went down a couple bit and hit another, oh, it was just so awesome. And then you look at the footage and your camera was covered in snow the whole time and you got nothing. It's the worst feeling in the world. I lost a couple really good clips over the weekend because of that, because I was excited and wanted to ride and wanted to go now. So yeah, just as you're riding, watch the lenses, keep them clean as possible. Okay, now tip number 5. Like I said, you get excited, you don't notice that maybe there's snow on your lenses and stuff like that. And one thing I kind of messed up on a couple times, I got really excited, wanted to go down the hill as fast as I could. We had a really early morning, great powder up to knees, waist, even up to my chest a couple places. It's crazy. Anyways, you're in a rush, you're trying to get going, and your default settings are not the settings you particularly want to use at that moment. So my default settings were not the 360 camera settings. So a couple times I turned on the GoPro, hit record, and just started going. And in those situations, this is the only kind of video I got. Great audio maybe, but I can't see anything of what I'm doing. I'm just video of the sky or the snow or something like that. And again, just like, missing out on a shot with the ice and the snow on your lens, I missed out on a couple really good, nice shots because I didn't have the proper setting on my camera. Didn't check it, I was in a rush, and I just went down the hill. I understand, you want to get out there as soon as you can, but it only takes really like half a second to look at the screen, go, oh, I'm not in 360 mode, hit the button, and then go. So, when you're trying to get going and you want to take good footage, double check your settings. It takes 2 seconds. I do this with my camera when I'm taking photos all the time. Turn it on, check my settings. Do this with your GoPro camera or your 360 camera as well, because you don't want to lose out on a really good shot and end up with something like this that is pretty much useless, and you're going to hate yourself in the end. Now for tip number 6. So full day of shooting, you're getting all these really, really cool shots. You're having fun. You're getting super powder all over your face. It's a great day. Then you notice, hey, darn it, my battery's dying. Or, darn it, my card's filling up. Now, to be honest, the GoPro Max has pretty good battery. I used it for, 2/3 of a day or so before I started to notice the battery draining, and I shot quite a bit. But you're gonna really, on a full day of shooting and riding in the cold, batteries do not like the cold. Any battery ever does not like being in the cold. They will die very quickly. It includes these cameras. They're very small. So yeah, take, if you can, take extra batteries. When one of your batteries is dying, you just toss this in. You got a new one. It's fresh. Charge your batteries as well. Or one thing I had this last weekend was a portable charger, which is this portable battery. And while we were having lunch, I just hooked this up to the GoPro, left it there while I was enjoying my lunch, and the camera charged just enough that I could actually get the rest of the shots that I wanted in the day. So thinking ahead, having an extra battery or a battery charger that you can use for your camera while you're taking a break in that is a really good idea. So now, connected this, I had a 64 gig card in my camera fresh in the morning, and by about 4/5 of the day, I had maybe 1 or 2 more runs to go through, my card filled up, which was kind of a bummer because I didn't have any extra cards. And obviously I didn't have my computer with me or anything like that. So I just kind of had to put my camera away for the last 2 runs. So I would suggest, picking up a couple extra memory cards. They're cheap. I think these cost maybe maybe 20 bucks, 30 bucks online. Throw them in your bag with you. And when your one card fills up, you can easily pop this in and you're still good to go. These are very, very tiny cards though, so I would suggest maybe doing it while you're on a gondola or having lunch or taking a break, because this is not something you want to drop in the snow. It will go bye-bye very quickly. But yeah, extra batteries, extra memory cards are all a good thing, especially if you're going to be taking a lot and riding a lot during the day, because these 360 videos are about, I think they're shot in 6K, and then when you stitch them together, they're 5.6K. That's a big file. Especially when you're riding for 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes at a time. These are really big files. So you're going to need the extra battery and the extra memory card for sure. So now, last tip, tip 7, is something that to think about after you've gone riding and now you have some footage that you want to use and put up, say, on Instagram or Twitter or something like that. Something I like to do. So now you have your footage. You have a really cool shot that you want, but say the weather wasn't that great. Cloudy, overcast, it wasn't very bright. Now these cameras are awesome. And they're especially awesome when it's a really nice day out. Blue sky, sunny sunshine on you. It makes for a great high contrast, vibrant image in these cameras. However, and this goes for cameras in general, when you're shooting in a cloudy, overcast environment, especially with snow, ground is white, sky is cloudy, gray, your image is going to be underexposed. Now this isn't any fault of your own. If you're shooting on automatic, this will happen. Your footage will be kind of dark, non-contrasty, and just underexposed, it seems. This happens with no matter what kind of camera you're using. So what you want to do after you shot this footage and you're playing with it in your app and that, make sure after you've got your cool shot to edit the image a little bit by raising the exposure, contrast, maybe some shadows, and the vibrancy depending on the style of shot you want. So I have a cool shot here on my phone. You can see the video that I'm going to show you right now here. This is before I have done any editing to the video. you know, it's cool. I get some good face wash with the powder. It's really nice. I really like this line I had. It was a lot of fun. But saying that, it could be better. So I am just going to pop on here and go to adjust, and you know, just let's see. Let's go to exposure. Bring it up, maybe 15. Yeah, 15 looks good. Go to contrast. Bring that up a bit. Gonna go over to shadows. And you see, this is taking me literally like 10 seconds to do. And I want a bit more vibrance to it. So turn that down. And yeah, so like that looks way better now. And I'm gonna save that. Save it. It's saved. And now I just put here and it saves to my photos. And it's as easy as that. That literally took me maybe 30 seconds, I don't know, to edit that clip. And now I'm gonna put them side by side here, and you can see just by that little bit of extra editing, extra color grading, you would say, to the video, especially on a day like this day where it was, you know, cloudy, not really that nice, you get a much cleaner shot, much cooler shot, and it's much nicer to see, I think, personally as well. So depending on the camera you use, the app will be a little bit different than this if it's not a GoPro Max. But your camera should have an app that can do this. If not, there are third-party apps on the App Store that you can do this for, no problem at all. It's really easy. Takes an extra couple seconds, and it'll improve your shot 100%. Trust me. Yeah, and there are my 7 tips for getting out on the slopes with a 360 camera. Obviously, these are kind of beginner tips, but you know, everyone's a beginner. I really kind of had to learn this from making mistakes with my own trip. Unfortunately, I wish I could have shot a couple of those shots again, but you only get one chance on a powder day for sure. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments, you know, if there's anything I didn't quite go over well enough and you want to ask me, go for it. Just hit me up down in the comments, and you know, subscribe if you liked the video, and cheers. Thanks a lot, and see you again soon.